Here's a video on removing the CV axles on a Kawasaki Mule 4010. The tools you're going to need is a 10 millimeter wrench to undo the brake line. This is a 1 1/16 socket to undo the big nut right there. And then you're going to need a 14 and a 17 millimeter socket to undo the nuts that hold the ball joints on and the strut. Also, to take the axle shaft completely out, it takes a 5 millimeter Allen socket. Also, you're going to need a hammer and possibly a ball joint separator like that, and then a couple of flathead screwdrivers, and then some pliers. So I have already taken off the wheel, and that takes a 17 millimeter to undo the wheel studs. And then I also already took off the cotter pins. There should be a pin on every one of these nuts here. So there's one here, one down there on your lower ball joint, and then one should be right there at the bottom of your tie rod. I already took those off. I'm not gonna show how to do that. And so let's get into it. You're gonna need an impact of some sort to break this loose. It does have quite a bit of torque on it. And always make sure when you take these off that there is a lock washer and a flat washer on there, because I've taken these off before and there's not, and you want to put it back that way. So once you get that off, take a couple of screwdrivers, and if you'll get behind this brake drum right here on both sides, you can kind of start working this loose. Sometimes they're a pain, sometimes they'll come right off. Usually once you can get it going, it'll come on off. Okay, pull your drum off. And then do not lose this washer. There is a washer that goes right there, and it goes behind this drum right here. You have to have that washer on there, otherwise when you tighten the drum on there, it gives it the proper space from the axle over here. If it's not there, this drum will bind and grind into your backing plate. The reason I know this is because I've done this before on a job and I lost this and had all kinds of issues trying to figure out what was going on. So put that out of the way, and then I find it's easier to just take your lower ball joint off and then go ahead and take the McPherson strut nut loose. And because of this design, you can't get this bolt out of here because it's got a bracket on the back side over here. This bracket down here is attached onto your brake line, which makes it a real pain in the butt, and the bolt head is right behind there, so you can't push the bolt out. So we'll take that loose, I'll show you. So get your 17 millimeter, take this one loose. Oh, I have to jack it up some more. Sometimes I'll leave the nut on there, just a little bit of a full thread, give it a few whacks, kind of help it along. Sometimes it'll pop right out, sometimes it won't. And I'll go ahead and take this loose. Same thing with that. Leave the nut on there. Then you got to knock this clip off of here. There's a clip right there on your brake line. Don't know how well you can see that, but you got to pry this clip out of here. I usually take my screwdriver. I can get my camera to stay. And I'll take my hammer, tap it out of there. So yeah, that little clip's just holding this brake line in this bracket right here. That's all it does. Now you can take your nut and washer off. You can't push this bolt all the way out yet because of the way it is attached in here to the brake line. And then on the back side right here, on that brake line, that's what you need your 10mm wrench for. You can go ahead and take that loose at this time. Just know there is going to be brake fluid in it. What I like to do is I'll get one of these little red caps. I don't know, they come with different stuff. Sometimes they're in vacuum sets, sometimes they come on old brake lines, and I'll just plug that sucker up right there. Try to keep minimum leaking down that I can. Actually, that one's too big. I always just keep a little assortment, different caps. Of course, with the brake fluid pouring out, it makes it super slippery. Well, there we go. Okay, finally. Now you can take the bolt all the way out for the strut. So I don't know how well that showed up on there, but that bolt just goes through the hole in the frame right here. And then it's got this bracket on it that holds the brake line. So now you can take your upper bolt loose right here for your tie rod. And that's a 14mm on that one. Like I said, I'll leave it on there and give it a good whack. There it goes. Get your tie rod out of the way. Now, The only thing holding it, it's literally just sitting in here. This McPherson strut has a groove built into it on this back side here. And that's what, when you put the bolt through, the bolt will only go in this strut when this is lined up with this groove. So sometimes these are stuck on here a little bit. Sometimes they come off super easy. Just the way it is. And then the same thing kind of here with this lower ball joint. Sometimes they are, you know, a pain in the butt to get loose, and sometimes they'll pop right out. If that doesn't work, get your ball joint separator and now this McPherson strut will come down. Oh, there's this hose on the back side right here I forgot about. It's kind of like just a vent hose, and it just has a little clip on it. You just take some pliers and take that loose. Otherwise, it'll just be hanging on there. There it goes. I've tried to do it the other way where you leave the strut attached up here at the top. It makes it super hard to get this axle out. Now you can get to it really easy. So then you just take your 5mm, and there's 3 Allen head bolts in here that hold this axle. That's the only thing holding this axle into the transfer case. There's one on the bottom, one on the top up there, and then one on the opposite side right there. Take those loose right quick. Okay, now that should pull right out, just like so. And there you go. There's a washer on here too. Be sure you keep up with that washer and O-ring, don't lose that. But I'm gonna be replacing this whole thing. It's just in too rough a shape for me to mess with. And a lot of these, you can't even really get them apart. So it's like 120 bucks for both sides, brand new. You might as well just replace it and be done with it. But hopefully this will help you.